Hey folks, welcome back to another video with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today, we're taking a look at my top 5 games played at GenCon 50, just a few short weeks ago. Now, there are some caveats for this list. First of all, I played many more than 5 games, but some of those didn't make the cut simply because, for example, I didn't play a full game of it, or I don't think that I have a firm enough grasp upon the game to really put it on any kind of list. So just because I didn't include a game on this list didn't mean that I didn't like it. There's a lot of didn'ts in there, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. Just because I didn't include it on this list, it doesn't mean that I didn't like it. It just simply means that I want more interaction with the game before I include it on a list or something to that effect. So here we are. My first honorable mention is Cutthroat Kingdoms. Now this one is already available. It's put out by AEG and it was designed by Brian Merloni, I think is his name. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm sorry, Brian, if I didn't. I've only ever called you by your first name, buddy. Anyway, Cutthroat Kingdom is, I was originally turned on to this a while ago because I thought originally that it was a expansion or a second edition type of thing to Cutthroat Caverns, which is a game that I've enjoyed in the past. Not so much, but I have. It's not. It's not any of those things. It's a standalone game. It's not connected in any way to Cutthroat Caverns at all. But Cutthroat Kingdoms is a fun game. It is a very cutthroat game. The title, it has everything that you need to know in it. It is a mean game. Do not expect to have a whole lot of friends unless they're very strong friendships after you play that game with the people. So Cutthroat Kingdoms, honorable mentions. Next one was a game by Backspindle Games. Now this is the same company that made Kodinka, an abstract strategy game that I've really enjoyed. This one is not abstract strategy. It's actually a cooperative game, and it is very much not abstract. It is a very thematic game. It's called Morn Quest. Now I didn't play a full game of this. One of the designers and I sat down and played through a number of rounds, enough for me to get a feel for how the game plays, and I really enjoyed it. I'm waiting with bated breath to be able to get this one to the table again because I want to play a full game of it and see how it goes. But I really enjoyed my time there. That's Morn Quest, coming from Backspindle Games. Another one was a game that I played right after I played Morn Quest at the same table. And this one was with a man by the name of Benjamin Yamada, and he had his game called The Way of the Fighter. Now this one was kickstarted, I believe, or is going to be kickstarted by Ninja Division. And this is a game that simulates a two-dimensional Street Fighter style video game. But it has a lot of really neat options in it, so I really had a great time with it. Again, we weren't able to play through an entire game, had a great time with it though. And then finally is another one of those kinds of games that simulate that 2D Street Fighter style game, and this one's called Combo Fighter. Now this one was in a prototype form. We did play a full game of it because it wasn't that long of a game. It's just a card game where I take a deck that is specific for my character, the other person takes a deck that is specific to their character, and basically whoever knocks the other person out first wins. It's really interesting. It's by the same person who designed London Dread, put out by Grey Fox Games. His name is Asger Johansson. A great guy, great designer. I mean, he did a great job with London Dread, and this one's actually pretty fun as well. This one isn't on my list simply because I have no idea when it's coming out. It was only a prototype form. I don't know if it's been picked up by anybody or anything like that, but I had a great time playing it. It was very fun. So check that one out when you're able to. Combo Fighter. Okay, so my number 5 is a game that I actually didn't know that much about before going to Gen Con. The designer of the game contacted me before and he said, hey, I've got this coming out at Gen Con. Would you stop by the booth, check it out, and all this other kind of stuff? And I said, sure. Golden Egg Games is the one that put it out. It's called Edge of Humanity. Now, the reason I gave it some time is because they have put out a game that I really enjoyed called Rome Rise to Power a couple of years ago, and that's what kind of put Golden Egg Games on my radar. Well, I went down. I decided to take a couple buddies with me. I took Mark Street and Rob Oren with me, and we had a tremendous time playing this game. We had so much fun playing it at the booth with the designer, Mr. Goldstein, that Mark and I at least played it 2 more times, maybe even 3 times at the convention. And then I've been able to play it 3 times since then as well. That's a lot of plays for me in such a short period of time for one game. And so that should tell you why it's included on my list. I really enjoy the thematic nature of the game, and you usually don't find that too much in deck builders. Usually that theme is kind of strapped on or pasted on in some type of way, and it's pretty dry. Not with this one. I like a lot of different things about it. I've done a review on it already, so you can go and get my final complete thoughts on it in there. That's my number 5, The Edge of Humanity. Now, my number 4 is a Batman game, and I'm not really a DC characters kind of person. I'm more of a Marvel hero type of guy. So DC is, okay, whatever. Batman, okay. He is one of the ones that I've enjoyed the most, but this one really hit it out of the park. It's called Batman the Board Game. It's being put out by Monolith next year, and I was able to sit down and play a full game of it. Now, this is the second time that I've been able to play a game of it. I also did a demo with Barry Dublé at UKGE, and sat down again to play the other side. At UKGE, I played Bane, the bad guy, and so I was able to see how everything worked together there. On this one, I actually played on the hero's side, played Catwoman as a matter of fact, and really had a great time with this game. The models are exquisitely done. They are amazing quality, and the game is also good. Now, it is very similar in how it plays and how the game flows to Conan. Now, if you didn't like Conan, you may or may not like Batman. Maybe you like the theme a lot better than Conan, so that might pull it over the edge for you. But I can't really make that decision for you. All I can say is I liked both of them very much the same. I think that Batman has a little bit more of a palatable theme to a number of different people, and quite frankly, he's probably more well known to the younger generation than is Conan. So that is my number 4, Conan the Board Game, being put out by Monolith next year. Now, my number 3 is by a company called Mythic Games, and they work a lot with Monolith, as a matter of fact. And right after I played Batman the Board Game, I walked over to another part of their booth and sat down and played Time of Legends Joan of Arc. Now, this Joan of Arc is what pulled me into this one, because I'm a sucker for historically themed games. I really do enjoy when history and my hobby collide in a pleasing way. And this is one of those times where it does. Now, there's a little bit more than just history involved. It is very historically based, don't get me wrong, but they also have used some of the myths and the legends of those times and made those as if they were actual reality. And so that is another thing. For example, the scenario that I played, a knight and his warriors are being sent to a village to investigate the missing person that has been reported. Well, it turns out that the missing person is actually a werewolf, and you're trying to find him now and kill him to put an end to the menace. So it's that kind of thing. It's that conglomerization of history and myth that was really intriguing. The miniatures are all cool. The amount of terrain that's going to come in the box is also amazing. Hopefully they can pull that off. Had a great time playing it though. My number 3, Time of Legends Joan of Arc. Now, my number 2 is a game that is based on a popular TV show right now on Sci-Fi Channel called The Expanse, and it is called that. My number 2 is The Expanse board game by Jeff Engelstein, published by WizKids. I really enjoyed this one. We actually got this before we went to GenCon, and I actually brought my copy. Well, it's the review copy for the Dice Tower, but I brought that copy to GenCon in the hopes of trying to play it. The first day we were there, we had some downtime in the afternoon, so Eric Summer and I, Dave Luza, and Jason sat down to play a game of it. We had a great time. Really enjoyed it. Been able to play it a number of times since GenCon, and this is one of the best games that I played at GenCon. I really enjoyed it, and I'm very glad to have enjoyed it because Jeff Engelstein's games are usually not ones that I enjoy for a number of different reasons, but usually it's just the mechanics that he employs are not ones that I enjoy that much. So it's hard for me to like a game that employs mechanics that I don't enjoy. That's just the way it goes. But now I can finally say the drought is over. I finally enjoy a Jeff Engelstein game. That's my number 2, The Expanse board game. And finally, my number 1 is probably one that you have already typed in the comment section below because you knew it was coming. The thing is, I didn't know it was coming until a couple of days before it was actually announced, and that is Twilight Imperium, the 4th edition. Now, this is one that kind of actually breaks the caveats because I didn't actually play a full game of it. We did play a good 4 or 5 rounds of it, I believe. So with all the experience that I have with Twilight Imperium 3, I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay to break some of those caveats that I put on this list. But we had a great time. Myself, Roy Canaday, Tom, and Brian from FFG, we all sat down and Brian walked us through the changes from Twilight Imperium 3 to Twilight Imperium 4, and then we played through a bunch of rounds so that we could get the feel of how the new edition plays. And man, it is a great re-implementation of the 3rd edition of Twilight Imperium. It is my favorite game played and at GenCon, and I hope to get it to the table again soon. A live play is coming. Z probably won't be involved in it, but hey, I'm going to try. But the live play is coming. Well, that's about it for my top 5 games played at GenCon 50. Now, if you played a game with me and it's not on this list, that does not mean that I didn't have fun playing that game. All right, this is a more of a objective list, I guess you could say, for me personally. And so there you have it. I did play a very rousing game of Blood Rage in my hotel lobby with one of our listeners. We had a great time, so I want to thank them for that. We had a great time at GenCon 50 as well. These are just the 5 stars that kind of stood up above the rest. So thanks for watching. Put your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you agree with, what you don't agree with. Hey, if you went to GenCon, you played some games, let me know what your top 5 games are. And until next time, I'm Sam Healey. Well, I'll probably still be Sam Healey even after next time, but hey, we'll see you guys on the flip side.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.